Hi, I'm Christina. I'm a postpartum doula with the Doula Group of Evansville. I became a postpartum doula because I feel like I'm in a position now that I have the experience and desire to help new families navigate building their family and building that foundation for the best lifelong connections they can. I wish that people knew that postpartum doulas were available.
Right?
um, I I wish people understood how much is available to them with postpartum support. It feels like people spend so much time thinking about, you know, planning for their baby and pregnancy and childbirth, and then there's this gap where we don't think about it, and then we think about 6 to 8 weeks after the babies come, and that space between you're having a baby and you're on to the next thing isn't really talked about. And I would like people to see how a postpartum doula can help fill that gap and make it the best experience it can be. I did not have great postpartum. Well, no, I've had 3. Um, my first postpartum experience was really tough. I had my first son in June, and we immigrated to England in August. And those 2 months were really stressful. I was living with my parents at the time because I was leaving the country. There was no point in having a lease anywhere. And then when I got to England, I knew no one, and it was really tough. I had no idea what I was doing as a mom. I was 20 years old, and it was just really hard. My second child, I had him in April, and then we went on a 2-month international tour in June, and then we got back in August and moved from Nottingham to London. And so, and during that time, I was also overseeing the renovation of the house that we bought in London, like a week before he was born. So it was very stressful, and I didn't have a lot of support. My mom flew into England for a week after my second son was born, and then she flew out, and I was there and expected to just take care of my 2 children and recover myself. And it was a lot. Both of those times I got really bad postpartum depression, which was not a fun experience. And I really didn't know how to even get that help that would have made it easier to be the kind of mom I wanted to be. And it really was just me sitting there saying, God, please help me be the kind of mom my kids deserve, that got me through that. With my third child, which I was very hesitant to have because the first 2 I'd had such a tough experience. It was different. I had more support. I had a different partner, which made a big difference. But again, there were just moments where it was just a lot. Trying to navigate bringing the boys into this new baby and helping my husband, who had never had any children before, figure out what his role was in this and how to do what he was doing. And I think the fact that I'd done it twice, and at that point my now middle son, before that my youngest, was 10 years older than our baby, I had a lot of experience going into it, so that was fine. That was a better experience, but it's just hard. You're recovering from childbirth and you're juggling so much, and you've got this really tight window. Like for me, I went back to work after 8 weeks, which is longer than some women get, and I was still trying to navigate, what does this look like? How do I make this work? It was good too. Babies. Yeah. My favorite part about being a postpartum doula is when I see mom and dad visibly relax and start to enjoy their experience. I think a lot of people don't realize how stressful it is until you're there doing it. And it's kind of difficult to even identify in that moment how stressful it is until after the fact. And my favorite part is coming in and being like, okay, have you eaten? Have you showered? Has your dishwasher been unloaded? Like, do you have clean socks? And helping them take care of those basic needs, so then they can sit back and think about, hey, my baby's eating like this, or I'm pumping while trying to breastfeed, or, let's even talk about formula right now. Seeing them visibly relax so they can think about the bigger picture things before it's just this huge issue for them. It's probably my favorite part. The hardest part about being a postpartum doula is the initial conversation when you get to someone's house and are like, how are you? And they're like, almost not shell-shocked, but they're just so caught in the moment of survival that they have to take a moment and like, how am I? What do I need? And that's really tough, because the last thing anyone needs when they're in their own home trying to figure out this really tough life change is someone coming in and be like, and you need to do this, this, and that because that's what's supposed to happen. Like, no, it's not. Like, that might not be what you need in that moment. And my role is to help you figure out what you need, so then you can think about the bigger ideas that will make it easier to parent your child and have the strongest family foundation you can. So yeah, helping people have those conversations while like being gentle about it, I think is the hard part. Because sometimes you got to pull people out of their bubble. My favorite part about living in Evansville is I'm really close to my family. My mom grew up here, and a lot of her siblings and their children and my grandma are still here in town. So that's really nice. I really love that. I love that we have so many places that we can just go be outside, and it's varied experiences. I mean, we've got all the city parks, we've got a couple state parks nearby, we've got some really incredible hiking just a couple hours drive away with Garden of the Gods or Shawnee generally, or then you get down to Red River Gorge. I mean, it's a really convenient place for that kind of stuff. And it's such a family-focused town. It's a family-focused community, and I really value that. I think that's something that's really special about Evansville, is just how focused on the kids this area is. And I think that's something that there are a lot of people with a lot of different opinions in Evansville, and they share them. And the thing that I feel is the tie that binds, the common ground, is we all care about our kids. We all care about the kids in our community. We care about the next generation. And we might have different thoughts about what's best for them, but at the end of the day, it's all coming from a place of wanting what's best for them. And I think that's really special. In addition to postpartum doula services, I offer which is really encompassing. There's like meal planning, there's just all sorts of stuff that falls into that bucket. I'm also a massage therapist. And I've been doing that for 10 years now. So in the postpartum doula bucket, it starts from when you start thinking about what life after pregnancy is going to look like. And that could be we're moving home and I need help setting up a nursery, or we're not moving home and I need help figuring out how we're going to add another human to our current space. It can be things like helping you figure out what you want for your shower wish list.
True.
Wish list. So you're not there in 6 months with some gadget that you really don't need or want or ever use, and you really could have used, I don't know, dishcloths. Maybe not. So you're not there with something that you don't need or want or would ever really use. It's helping people figure out resources within their community. So if you want some postpartum physical therapy, helping people talk, know which people in our community are already focused on that purpose. So you have somebody who's a little more knowledgeable when you go for help. Or, hey, you want to get out with your baby. These are some really great paths that are really, really stroller friendly, because maybe before you had a baby, you didn't think about that. It's not on your radar. Or helping somebody with meal planning, because it's a different game when you are trying to figure it out one-handed, with 3 hours of sleep. It's stuff like, if you need to make a doctor's appointment, I will hold your child and read to your other child so that you can go and have that conversation and focus on it and know that your children are all good. Because babies have a lot of doctor's appointments in the first 3 months. Like, it's incredible. Yes, like holistically supporting the family so that they can all step into their new relationships in a way that is healthy and gives them the space to process that information, because it's a lot. And even though cognitively you could know there's a baby coming and we're gonna have change, like when you're there in the middle of it, it's big and it's a lot to think through and feel. And when you're young and all your feelings are big because they're all new, they need more support sometimes. And so postpartum doulas can help give you that space. They can also give you the space to have conversations with your spouse or partner that you might not have the energy to really be delicate about while holding your baby or trying to cook dinner or all these things. And maybe you need to talk about anything, having half a conversation when you're tired. Postpartum doulas help families navigate their new landscape. What I would tell people about setting up healthy postpartum expectations is give yourself as much space as you can, because you don't know. You can have an idea about what you're going to feel like after you have your baby, right? But you don't know what your birth is going to be like. You don't know what your body is going to say or how that's going to affect it. And so giving yourself as much space as you can gives you the opportunity to then, after you are in that postpartum place, say, actually, this is what I need. Or that's not what I need. I would say a lot of that depends on the relationships that you have. If you've got a really awesome relationship with someone, and if it's one of those relationships where you can call them up when you had dinner plans and say, look, I'm in my sweatpants, we're not doing it, then it'll probably be fine. Like, you can tell them whatever you want. But if it's a more formal relationship, I would recommend giving yourself as much flexibility as you can. And if it's a relationship where that person is going to want to be involved in a tangible way, and you also feel like you are more comfortable with a formal boundary, maybe identifying earlier on a job for them. Like, your job is to pick up our grocery order on the first 2 weeks, or I need you to walk the dog, or something like that. And identify it before the baby's born, so you're not there in the moment trying to figure out a way to make them feel useful. And then move on. I think people misjudge how much rest you're gonna need. I think people underestimate just how big it is to grow a human. And I think people underestimate how much emotional labor that takes for everybody in the family. And I think it's not even a conversation people have really had, because traditionally you have a baby and you're super happy, right? Like, and you are. And that takes emotional energy to process that. And that, I think, is something people don't really think about, is just how much bandwidth it takes to process that you have a new family member.
Okay, so
boy mom advice. Pick your battles. Boys are so sweet, and they run around with their hearts all over the place in the world. I mean, they will jump off your counter, and if you turn around and snap at them, you will break their little heart. And so remembering that boys need us to be gentle too, and also set boundaries, like, of course, but you know, helping boys figure out feelings and being gentle with them while they are the biggest wild thing in the world. But I feel like boy mom, for me, is helping my boys be emotionally healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I think about, what was it that Brené Brown said, like, boys are only taught 6 words for their emotions or something like that. Like, it's so sad. And then we look at grown men, and they're not emotionally equipped to navigate this complex world. And so I feel like my job as a boy mom is to raise strong, confident men who know how to articulate what they are going through. So boy mom advice: pick your battles and teach them words for feelings. If I could give one solid piece of parenting advice to anyone, regardless of what kind of child they have, it would be spend as much time as you can outside and help encourage them to be curious, because it's a really cool world out there. And my favorite part about being a mom is when they learn something new or share something that they've learned. And I feel like a lot of those moments are had when we're outside having adventures. So that would be my mom advice. My unsolicited mom advice. Go outside.
Get out.
Come here, girl. Hi. 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 Sit. Sit down. Are you a good baby? Are you a good baby? Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.